My name is Ella Jean, your local fantasy author, and I have recently started a new book. I talked about it a bit in the writing vlog a little bit back. I mentioned it in another video. I beat around the topic, but basically, for the first time in 2 years, I have moved on from characters and world and plots that I know like the back of my hand, and am writing something entirely new. It's going to be a young adult fantasy set in our world about a mysterious academy. Half of the students are magical, the others half human and don't know that half are magical. All gotta hide who they are. Chaos ensues. This, that, or the other. I should be more excited about it than I am. I've been really nervous and struggling like hell for the past couple weeks on it. You see, it's hard to move into something entirely new. It's hard to fall in love with a story when it's just an idea. I really liked the idea. I pitched this idea to many a friend and would have them go, "Why haven't you written it yet?" That sort of thing. As soon as I started putting the first words on the page, I was like, this isn't it. Because you have this image in your head, but the image is not what's physically being typed out on the page. So I've come up with some solutions that worked for me. I would like to share them with you. As always, take every bit of writing advice with a grain of salt. I will make some statements here that you will probably disagree with. Be willing to try them, discard them if they don't work. I just read a whole book about how you should, your first draft should have no outline and you should just go for it. And I was like, that would be really fun to try, and then I cried about it for the past 3 weeks. Some advice just isn't for you. One of the biggest problems I have with this is physically falling in love with the story. I am trying to throw so much plot together, writing these first couple chapters, that I didn't know who I was even writing about. I mean, there's so many little side characters. There's a full class, 16 characters that each need to be introduced, explained, have opinions on. It's hard. So I did something I've never done. I actually took a pause writing the book, and I went and wrote a scene with each of my 16 characters. You see, main characters and perspective characters have to be, they don't have to be likable, but they have to be rounded. Typically, I know you're going to come out here with like Lolita or some shit and be like, this book is actually very different. I am talking about general audience fiction that generally people like. Yes, I understand there are masterpieces that are different. I am writing a young adult fantasy, creepy, magical school book. But usually your main character should be likable, something that can be built upon and grow, and someone that is well-rounded. It is where your side characters, where they can be a little more of gremlin-y. Thing is, I knew nothing about my side characters, so writing a scene for each of them was weird, stupid, funny. I mean, I got to sit down and be like, oh yes, this absolute ray of sunshine who comes from not a ray of sunshine background, and you're sitting in the background going, now I can torture people with this. Or like, yes, this character's an asshole. He's one note. All he's supposed to be throughout this book is an asshole. He's an antagonist. Did I give him some flavor? Yes. Did I write some scene to know why he's an asshole? Yes. He's still an asshole. He would never be the perspective character, but writing one chapter of it was actually quite fun, and it made me excited. I chose to write a scene that happened for each of the characters before the book started. Specifically, somewhere around the learning they're going to this school, packing for the school, moving towards the school, whichever fit best for the character at that time. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. More fun than I care to admit, because for so long I tried to get through things that sometimes I forget you can go around and have a little bit of adventure with your characters. My second note is the controversial one. I think everyone should have an outline. Seriously. I think if you're struggling to write the story, you should have an outline. I think people who say, I don't need any outline, are lying. Because guess what? They have a plan in their head. That's an outline that isn't written down. They have, oh, this is happening next. That's somewhat of an outline. I don't know if there are, sound off in the comments because I think you're intense and intimidating. I don't think there are actually people who write and say, I'm just going to see what the story gives me. Point blank. That is ballsy, impressive, and slightly intimidating. Anyway, I think everyone should have an outline. Before people get all up in arms and be like, oh no, outlines, they take so long. I'm a die-hard outline person. My outlines usually don't go above 3,000 words. Maybe 4,000. That's 1 or 2 chapters, depending on how much you write per chapter. That is not a lot to give you structure for the entire rest of the book. All I do is I break down plot-wise what's going to happen in each chapter. It gives me a perspective, it gives me somewhere to move forward, and that is all I need. Nothing character gets mentioned in the outline. That I figure out as I go. Maybe you want to mention character things. That's up to you. There are definitely parts in the outline where I say figure it out later in parentheses and curse myself later. But usually you have figured out which character or which MacGuffin you stuck in somewhere it is going to come and save you. Because at the end of the day, the best part about a truly new first draft is everything is malleable. Everything. I was writing books for 2 years that I knew the characters by heart. I would write a line of dialogue and be able to say, actually, no, scrap that, because that's not what they would say. Here, I don't know. I could get to chapter 20 and introduce, I don't know, a personal fear of bunnies to my main character, because there's bunnies, and I'm like, that'd be funny. Doesn't fit anywhere else later, I'll make it fit in second draft. I can literally abandon a character halfway through. I can say, hey, you know this villain that I'm setting up to be the villain? Actually, there's a second, scarier villain behind them. Have they any setup? No. They've been there the whole time. I'll figure it out later. That's the best part. If a character isn't working, drop them. Plot isn't working, drop them. You realize that you should have somewhat of a romantic plotline in your book? Just stick it in, make them kiss, figure the rest out later. An outline will give you structure, and then the discovery of a first draft will give you your world. This is what works for me. I can't promise it'll work for you. Everyone is different. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of writing is community and sharing ideas. So I hope this helps at least one person pick up the pen again. Or type on the keyboard. I only know a handful of people who actually handwrite anymore. It's impressive if you do. I just don't know a lot of people who do it. Anyway, follow along if you want to hear more about this story. Follow along if you want to hear more about my other books I've written. Feel free to comment any suggestions. I really do appreciate suggestions in the comments. I have Fiverr Gigs and my Blue Sky link below if you want to connect elsewhere. As always, remember, writing is difficult, and daring to continue past that first page is brave, especially the way the world is right now. I want to form a community with you, because I truly believe that anyone can write, and everyone has a story in them.